This is Dango and Zansin, and in this video, we are going to do an interview with Zansin. So Zansin is known as the best Mathew and Elwin player. So Zansin has basically the best Elwin in this game, and his Mathew is very strong. So although some people like Roy Lee has like a higher power Elwin, but when Zansin play against Roy Lee, he has no fear and he just show his Elven power and win Royalist Elven. Yeah, so yeah, it's really amazing. And like even more amazingly, Zansin is not a whale. Like he's really a budget player. So actually, before we start Zansin, I'm just very curious. Like approximately how much you spend in this game per month?
I think just the monthly packs, so around $20, is it?
Yeah, so we can see this is really just a monthly pack. Yeah, so with monthly pack, Sensin's Apex Arena point is like top 10 in global server. So this is like really amazing. So yeah, so let's talk with Zensin and see why Zensin is so strong. So the first question for you, Zensin, is like what aspect do you like in Apex Arena the most?
I think I enjoyed the ban and pick phase the most
Mm-hmm.
because one thing I struggle a lot in World Arena is that like everyone basically gets to pick the best lineup, and you know some lineup some lineups are just completely broken, and there's
Mm-hmm.
like no way you can deal with those.
Yeah.
But in Apex Arena, you're able to use some strategy during the pick and ban phase to force opponent into like maybe uncomfortable compositions, and pick into a composition that you are comfortable with. So I think it's pretty good.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and also this pick and ban phase, at least before the playoff season and regular season, gives you a chance to have bet in your team. So Jensen, have you ever used any bet in your box?
Yes, in fact, a lot. Uh,
Yeah.
from the start of the season one, I think maybe the first 4 weeks,
Hmm.
I think I at least have 4 or 5 baits in my
Yeah,
box.
that's very amazing. So yeah, I remember Zansin actually jumped to Langrisser level very fast with all the bets available. So that's truly amazing. So even myself, I used some bets. I have like some of the similar bets compared to Zansin. I know for a very long time Zansin's Leonhard was a bet. So my Leonhard was also a bet. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's the
So
part.
yeah, not just Leonhard. It's I can probably review them now since I've built them already. It
Yeah.
was Leonhard,
Mm-hmm.
Zereda,
Mm-hmm.
um, Rachel.
Richer. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Listel at one point,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
there was another one. I can't remember on top of my head, but I remember there was at least 4 or 5. Yeah.
yeah. That's very amazing. Even with this many of bets, Zansin made it to the top 10. Actually, very fast. So this just basically show you like another time how this pick and ban system can really favor the player even they are not fully prepared as long as they can make a pick and ban and as long as they can make their bet appropriately, they can still get a very good result. So my next question for you, Jensen, is that what are the like most exciting moments in Apex Arena so far for you?
Me, it was reaching Langrisser, I think,
Yeah,
because
reaching aggressor level. Yeah.
like I didn't get to Langrisser till week 3, if I remember
Mhm.
correctly.
Mhm.
I was struggling a lot because I weren't able to, first pick Leonhard or first pick Zerida because they were baits. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And some opponents, when they played me a lot, they kind of, I think they figured out at the end because, like, you leave Leonhard there at open for like third round, and I still don't pick it. It's quite obvious at that point.
Yes, yes, exactly. So yeah,
Yeah.
later you will indeed face some struggle, like if you have too many bets, but overall you still are doing well. So like even when like your Leonhard are bad, do you sometimes still pick Leonhard?
Um, Not at the start, but
Mm-hmm.
after he got 5 stars, I started
Yeah.
investing like hard bonds and
Mm-hmm.
um, getting his second class, so 2 runes. I
Yes.
think at that
Yes.
point he was a little bit playable, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't use him to go in and one shot the team. It's mostly to like try to dispel as many people as possible and hope that RNG stands on my side. I can probably like dispel guards or water buff from juggler, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's actually a very, very important point also. Like especially for like more free to play or like a very budget limited player, like this strategy is very good. Like even like maybe a Wells Leonhard is he's trying to jump in and kill, but you can still also use the same character, but not in the same way. So in this case, like Zansin's Leonhard is not working as a Leonhard who will jump in and kill you. And since Leonhard used to be, a Leonhard that will just apply a ton of debuff, maybe try to stun you, maybe try to remove your buffs, and maybe try to block your passives. So this is really like using Leonhard as a functional like Leonhard, which actually lots of people are doing that in season 2 of Apex Arena in Chinese server. So this like really open our eye. Like you don't have to be the whale level, especially when you are playing as a budget player, but you can still win against the whales if you can play smartly. Like if you can use your Leonhard as your best tool for your like other characters like Elvin, give chance to your like better characters, then you can still create the chance for you to win. Yeah, so yeah, Zansin,
yeah,
that's very, very good. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so now that the playoff season is getting started, so players are like very getting excited, like not only the players who entered the top 256, but other players, they want to watch and they want to make gamblings. So in playoff, who is the player that you don't want to face the most and why?
so it's a hard question because
Mm-hmm.
I've played a lot of ranked games.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the reasons why my points is very high is because I played a lot. It's simply because I played a lot.
No,
And
you also have a very good win rate. Some players like
uh,
they play over 200 battles and just to struggle barely at Langrisser level. I think, I mean, you did play a lot. Like I also play a lot, but the reason
yeah,
that you can be that high, because when your score is that high, if you lose to a like easy enemy, you actually drop a ton of points. So the reason that you
yep,
can maintain that
yep.
high actually suggests you are still winning a lot, right?
Okay, I'll take that as a compliment. So
Yes,
I
yes.
think total games I played 185 and
Mm-hmm.
win rate is about 62 or 63%, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Something like
actually
that.
very
Yeah,
decent. That's a very
yeah,
decent win rate,
yeah.
actually.
But anyway, so I played quite a lot of opponents from top 30, top 20, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Very strong units and
Mm-hmm.
very solid strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually quite difficult for people
Mm-hmm.
like me. So playing on a budget, I think the biggest problem for players like me is I don't have a lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's th the things that I have.
Yeah.
It's like a 15 or 16 character box.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
much variations. There's only like
Mm-hmm.
one strategy, and I can't really, switch to a different strategy halfway through the season because my resource doesn't allow that. I
Yeah.
just had like one
Although
direction.
Yeah, although I was seeing that you were trying to change some of the strategy. So I will not, release your secret to others. But I know Zansin, you will have some other options in playoff. Yeah, but
Yeah,
still,
hopefully it
who
can
do
be a
you?
surprise.
So still, who do you think? I mean, who you don't want to face the most? Still, that question.
Yeah, I think my goal for season one is, I
Hmm.
think it's quite realistic for me. So basically top 64, I'll be quite
Hmm.
happy.
You will
Um,
reach that easily, I believe. Trust
uh,
yourself, Zansin.
hopefully. I think before top 64, I probably don't want to be in the same group with people like you, like Roy Lee, like Manson,
Yeah, I also don't
those.
want to be in the same group with you and these other top 10 guys,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think after top 64, anyone is fine because I've
Yes.
reached my goal already.
Yeah, and all the players who reach top 64 will be pretty good. Like they have been through like two or three rounds, actually 3 rounds already. So that's
Yep,
that's a decent rank for all the players who made it there. Yeah. Yeah,
yep.
so that's a very fair answer. And yeah, so you have played a ton of games, like especially to lots of the higher level players, and you have also played some game to like a little bit lower level players. So what, like in your mind, what strategy or what play style do you think is going to win in playoff, like the most? Is there like
Hmm.
a specific playstyle,
Hmm.
like AOE versus single target versus like summon strategy or like versus like rush strategy, this kind of thing?
Yeah. So I think it's actually anybody's game.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen really good AoEs, and
Mm-hmm.
also seen very good single target bursts.
Mm-hmm. Like yourself?
Um, I like myself. uh, I think it's down to like ban and pick and
Mm-hmm.
the actual gameplay and strategy. Um,
Yeah.
but overall, I think AoE teams have a slightly edge over other kind of teams,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
especially if you combine AoE with like some healing blocks like
Yeah.
burn, like
Yeah, like
Liffany.
Liffany, yes. Liffany
Yeah,
is actually a very underrated character. So hopefully we can see some really, really good Liffany. We know like a player like Zikma, like Koran, like yeah, probably I can't tell others right now. Yeah, but these two players has very strong Liffany. Don't underestimate their Liffany. And we will see if Liffany will surprise us with this
hmm
very long range and heal block effect. And also
I
summon.
got face rolled a few times
Yeah.
by Liffany. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you just mentioned like pick and ban is very very important in playing against like a top level player. So let's say, for example, what if you are meeting a very top player like Roy Lee or like Lemons? What would you suggest like in terms of pick and ban? For example, if you're
Mm,
fighting against the royally, is there any suggestions for players who will be fighting against them?
yeah, so it's already like a tough matchup. You
Mm-hmm.
know he's gonna have top tier units,
Mm-hmm.
top tier Aniki training, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really rough. But
Mm-hmm.
all I can suggest is to have some surprises for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you play or pick stuff up that he expects, then
Mm-hmm.
you're probably falling into his game plan.
Mm-hmm.
And one single mistake you make, he probably can wipe your entire team, and it's game over. So that's
Yeah.
basically my experience versus Roy Lee. It's like one mistake I make, and then it's game over.
Yeah.
Um, it definitely needs to have some surprises, surprise
Mm-hmm.
moves or surprise picks.
So, for
Uh,
example, in the game that you win over Royally, there was a very amazing game that you and Royally both picked Elwin, and
yeah.
then but you win in the last. So, what do you think is your like? how did you win that game? Did you give Royally any surprise, you think, in that game?
Yeah, I think the surprise was actually I picked I think I picked Mathew, and my Mathew
Mm-hmm.
back then was Cavalry Mathew,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he know that. So I had
Mm-hmm.
Mathew plus Landius, so
Mm-hmm.
both of them are cavalries, and I think he knows that. So his
Mm-hmm.
Elven went for because his Elven is a
A
Lancer Elven,
Lancer,
and
yes.
he went with Lancer soldiers as well. So probably because he knew I was running two cavalry units, and I think that was a pretty big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my Elven basically had mates, and it just auto win if I can survive, you know, uh, until it's just my Elven versus his Elven, and that's actually what happened. At the end, it was my Elven versus a half-dead Landius and his Elven couldn't do much against me, even
Mm-hmm.
when he had faction buff and I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And at the start of the game, I think I was quite lucky that his Bozo used two AoEs and both of them didn't silence me, so that was pretty
Oh,
lucky on
yeah.
my side. Yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah, lucky is another kind of key point if you want to win against a whale. Yeah.
yeah, de
Yeah.
definitely
And
need to
also,
count on. Yeah,
yeah, and also like to suppress the enemy. Yes, I bet Royally will never underestimate Matthew after that match. Very, very strong.
well,
Yeah.
I think talking about RNG, I think 10U's headdress is pretty broken at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be alright if the movement speed buff was like similar to Breathe, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2 turns and plus 3. It's very, very
Yes.
broken.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually have the same feeling. I kind of think that should be nerfed a little bit because like a speed buff with 2 turn basically changed too much. Like you
Yeah.
are actually making a gear more OP than overall enchantment. So that's kind of yeah, that's a little crazy. Yeah, but yeah, but this is also why like tennis headgear is so welcomed by all these top players. Yeah, it is a very nice gear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now that we talked about this, we talked about a lot, and so like there is one question that I really, really want to ask you because you are like a budget player. You are like lots of players are actually like similar to you, like they only buy monthly packs, or even some of them are like free to play. So for these kind of players, like probably most of these kind of players they didn't make it to the playoff in season one, but they still have a
Mm-hmm.
dream that they want to enter the playoff in season two. So in this case, is there any recommendations or advice that you can give to these other players so that they can be better in the future?
Yeah, I think just two advice for me.
Mm-hmm.
First is work on what you already have and try to make them really, really good and really top tier.
Mm-hmm.
So I really go against like having a unit and it's like halfly built, mediocre enchants and
Mm-hmm.
equipment, and that's really bad because that's what you have already. You should try to capitalize it as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So one example is that is say you have a Luna and you stop farming her shards at 5 star
Mm-hmm.
for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason. So maybe you should push for 6 star, try to get her all the best gears and the best enchants,
Yes,
rather
exactly.
than rather than stopping at 5 stars and start farming something like Zreda, for example.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel a lot of players, especially the budget players, they tend to do one thing that may not favor them in PvP. It's like they try to res a lot of characters, like even more than 15, like 20 characters at a time. They res them all to 5 star. But if you really want to be successful in PvP, you have to have at least one box that with 15 characters that they are really, really built.
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
and the other thing is, unfortunately, they are meta units. Like currently, it's all the magic and physical AoE dealers.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way the game is. you probably don't need to build them, but it would be good to have them and use them as
Mm-hmm.
a bait.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's my two suggestions. Oh,
Okay.
sorry, and the last one, I think global server is quite fortunate because we are like 5 or 6 months behind
Mm-hmm.
Chinese server,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of know all the release schedules or the meta in China right now, what works, what doesn't.
Yes.
So I think
Yes.
should capitalize on that. Um,
Yeah.
like only for people that really care about PvP, right? If if you don't care about PvP, then just do whatever.
Yes, yes, yeah, yes. But the other point is that PvP, some of the reward in PvP, including like enchant packs, can be important for like future PvE content as well. Because for example, the Asian
Mm,
call is coming, and if you want to do, I mean, if you say I want to focus on PvE, so if that suggests that you also want to get higher rank in PvE, then you still need to have like decent enchant for the characters and yeah, for
yep.
like Asian call, you need to build different characters for that. So enchant packs is kind of actually important for this kind of PvE content. So just a like small note, yeah. So besides like Zenzen said, who cares about PvP? Actually, who care about PvE can also make some progress on the on building of these characters. And try to build some of these PvP characters and gain some of the extra rewards so they can perform better in PvE as well. Do you agree with
Yeah,
that?
I think it's true. Yeah, I agree. I think
Mm-hmm.
if you have characters really well built for PvE, and
Mm-hmm.
what I mean by really well built is like PvE characters with like I don't know 6,500 power or above, you can still reach at least gold rank, I think.
Yes, yes, exactly. Okay, yeah, very thank you for Zensin to very thank you for Zensin to provide this information and your opinion on Apex Arena and also for the future to us. And yeah, really thank you, Zensin.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for making content for the community because we're quite a small community and not very active, in my opinion. But thank you very much for creating all the guides and videos that actually helped me a lot as well.
Okay, thanks, Zansin, for your support. Yeah, and yeah, I wish you a good luck in playoff season and not only making to the top 64, but also to push it even further, like top 8 or top 4. Yeah, I think you are a very, very strong player, and yeah, and lots of the free-to-play and budget players will be supporting you because you are probably really the best budget player or like close to free-to-play player in this game. So yeah, wish you good luck and hope you can get a decent result.
Thank you very much. I wish you the best as well.
Okay, okay. Yeah, okay. So this is all for this interview. I hope you enjoyed and find this very interesting. And don't forget to like support Zenshin in the playoff season. And you can put your gold for Zenshin. And if Zenshin wins, you will get some extra gold. So yeah, that's all for this video. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
See you guys.